What's up, y'all? Happy Monday! Welcome back to Chill to Action on the Call to Action Network. As usual, it's your girl, Daddy Joy, here hanging out with my favorite co-host, Mr. Paul Denuzio.
It's me, it's PLD, and I am psyched to be here with this guest today. We have a lot in common, I feel. We've discovered that over the course of
the Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Big round of applause for Tim the Tank Franco.
Look at my Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
Hey guys, thanks for letting me. Thanks for having me on. I know this has been like something we've been wanting to do for a while. So I'm glad we could make it work, and I'm glad to be here, and looking forward to having y'all talk to me and seeing the chat engage. And yeah, let's have a good night.
Yeah.
Celebrating Danny's birthday.
That's right. Happy birthday, Danny. She's like 22.
Yeah. 22. I'm 22. What's up, yo?
The Mohawk. All the people loving the Mohawk.
Loving.
Yeah, this was my quarantine haircut. So, yeah. I had like a faux hawk like right before it happened, and then it was just it had this weird, it's growing because this was all longer and this was like even longer. So I was like, I'm just gonna do a mohawk. I do them every now and then. So I was like, now's the time to do it. So I did it.
I love it. I hope we get to see you play a match with that hair.
I would see a girl the bigger the quarantine gets, the hair just gets taller.
Just go like full no effects.
I mean, it's been like this for a couple weeks, so it's definitely my hair grows really fast. So I'm gonna have to make a decision if I want to keep it or just we'll see.
I say you keep it for a little while. Go
Let's
for
keep it until I can go back to work.
Yeah,
I can go back to the office. I am working still, just not from not at the office.
Right.
Staying safe. Thank you so much for that. Well, Tim, welcome to Chill to Action. And as usual, we always like to start off with the same question for all of our Schmodown guests. Why Schmodown? How did you get started playing in the Schmodown?
So it all started back in the 2017 season. Robert from Late to the Party is the one who kind of introduced me to the Schmoes and to the Schmodown. So I had become a fan the season like prior to the Collider season.
Right.
Watched it all, went back and watched everything up until then just started following it from then on. And Robert and I, we're just super big movie fans, and we would quote me. We worked together at Best Buy back in the day, and we actually went to high school together, graduated the same year, but we weren't actually really friends in high school. We didn't become friends until we worked together, which is kind of weird because we're very similar and have a lot of the same interests. But we had started talking. They had launched their channel Late to the Party, and they had talked about how they'd wanted to do reactions to the Schmodown, but they didn't want to just do them without knowing if like they were allowed to do them, and they didn't have a relationship yet with Christian or anyone, so they couldn't really ask really, and they didn't really want to put it out there. And then Christian kind of put the call out there himself and said, "Hey, I want people to start reacting to these," and so that was our call to action, you might say. And Robert and Vanessa, they did one, and then they invited Ashley and I to come on another one, and we just kind of kept going after that. And then Christian contacted them and invited all of us to come out. Well, first he was like, "So when are you guys ever in LA?" And Robert's like, "Well, like occasionally, not super often." And he was like, "Well, next, if you're ever out here, just let us know. We'd love to have you for a taping, just like to watch and see what's going on." Fast forward like a couple days or whatever, he messages back and he's like, "Hey, can you come to the free for all this weekend or whatever?" And it was like 4-day notice or something like that. And we all collectively, we had like our own little group chat, and we were all just kind of like, "No, there's no way that can happen. Like, we all have full-time jobs. We can't just like drop what we're doing and like go drive to LA or get to LA for the free for all." And then we kind of like thought about it, and we were like, "Can we make this happen?" And then we made essentially, long story short, Robert talks about it a lot on different things you can hear, but we made it happen. We went to the free for all. We watched the first free for all in studio, and that was incredible. So we got to see the Andreyko elimination. Robert, myself, and Sam Levine were the 3 people in studio who knew the annexation of Puerto Rico question from Little Giant, and we screamed it out. And then when we were there, Christian, as soon as we walked in the door, Christian was already like, "We want to have you guys like compete. That's like what we want to do." And so he was like, you know, I want Robert and Vanessa to compete in teams. He's like, I want you for singles. That's kind of where it all started. Then it kind of snowballed from there. And he, you know, set me up with my first match, and he's like, I want you to play Achity. You know, it's got a nice, you know, it's a big reward if you were to win, which, you know, spoilers, I did.
TKO.
But also spoilers, I kind of like semi-retired and didn't really compete again for a very long time. But yeah, so that's kind of like the short version of how I became involved in the Schmodown, and it's just a lot of fun. You know, it's a thing for me. I just have a lot of fun doing it. It's just, I've always loved movies, and I've always been big into trivia, and I have my brain can just hold a lot of information naturally. That's probably why I have a degree in history. I just remember things. So it's good to be able to put that to use. I feel like finally after all these years.
That's awesome. I mean, I do remember when you beat Ashley, we were like waiting for you to have a big run, and never quite got there because you're in Arizona, and it makes it tough.
Yeah,
you did get to come back. You got to find a team up with Crimson Fury.
Crimson Fury.
How was that? How was working with Stacey Howard?
That was great. I mean, Stacey was awesome. She was a great partner. We always had these little powwows right before matches planning. The reveal was a lot of fun. So the way that happened was Robert and Vanessa were going out there for a match, and they didn't know who they were competing against. They knew it was Stacey and her partner, and I had an annual pass to Disneyland last year essentially, and so it wasn't uncommon for me to be in the LA area going to Disneyland. So we had a Disneyland trip that weekend, conveniently, and we were like, hey, we don't have to go to Disneyland this day. We can come to the studio and watch your match against Stacey and her partner. Okay, so that's what we did. So I get there, and it was very like sneaking around, you know, because I had to get like a corruption shirt from Christian without Robert and Vanessa seeing me, and then I had to like stay away from Stacey and like not stay away, but like not look like we were like making it obvious that we were going to be the team. And then we had to like do a little powwow. Like we had to sneak out when another match was recording, like separately. Like she snuck out of the studio, and then I snuck out of the studio, and then we went and sat behind like a couch, like where no one could see us, and had a little powwow because it was like our first like in-person powwow as a team. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was the reveal obviously was great. I mean, that was all on camera, and that was great. So yeah, I mean, it was fun, and she was a great partner. You know, I really think she held her own in like I think all of our matches, and she really carried us in a lot of ways in a lot of those matches. Especially like in that, I think it was in the match with Loose Cannons where we spun Festival Darlings, I think it was, and Stacey, she really carried the ball in that one. So yeah, I mean, she's a great competitor, you know, and I think she's going to go far. And you know, I mean, obviously we've continued to see what she can do. You know, people, you know, kind
the bracket breaker herself, man.
Yeah.
Underestimate her at your peril, pretty much. So
well, that's really interesting to know because I knew that you and Robin and Vanessa are all close to each other. So to know that like those reactions from them are that genuine to it, I can't believe you held that secret from them for that long.
That's impressive.
Yeah, we knew for a while too, and we were just trying not to like talk about it, and it would come up, and we'd be like, "Oh, that's interesting," because they would be like stressing about like who it was going to be, and before the match, I don't think this was ever captured on camera so obviously when I come out, they're playing the Beast music, right?
Right.
Oh, before the match, all the competitors are backstage ready to come out. I wasn't though because they didn't want them to know I was the partner. But they had Bibiani standing back there randomly with Stacey, and so like they were like, "Oh, is it the Beast?" And they were kind of like stressed out. They were like, "Is it really Bibbs that is her partner?" And then we did the whole. Once they came out, then we did a switch, and I went back real quick and ended up coming out. But yeah, it was a fun moment for sure.
Fun.
That is great. Oh wow. Okay, so next up now you're with the Quirky Mercs. How did that draft day go for you? What was that?
It was fun. I mean, I didn't know about it until other than like watching like the video and following like Twitter, social media notifications. I wasn't sure if I would get drafted because because I told Christian there was some things going on with me that might keep me away from the Schmodown, or might make it, and it's still kind of it puts me in like an unsure state.
Right.
And Koi is aware of that. And of course now with like the pandemic, things are different, and there might be a situation where it makes it easier for me to compete if we end up having to do like virtual like matches like we are right now. Obviously, that's something that I can easily do. But I think if down the road, I think getting back to the studio is something I can definitely do. It's just hard like competing on a consistent basis when like I have like a full-time like career and job and I have lots of dogs, and it keeps me very busy, and finding places for them is difficult and or expensive, and
Dookies.
and so and they both have like issues, like they're both special like needs, they need medication and different things, so it's just a lot of responsibility to put on someone else to watch them.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But Koi, I mean, I'm excited about that team. I mean, Bibbs and the kid are great. We got Kevin Smith, so that's awesome, right? I mean,
I was going to actually ask you how those study sessions with Kevin Smith, have they started yet? You and him?
No, not yet. No, not that I'm aware of. No. I guess I'll teach him a thing or two, right? No.
This is my good buddy Kevin Smith.
Now, I was looking at these things like you and Haley Fouch are going to be a team. Is that possibly still the way it's going?
I'm not sure yet, because my last conversation with Koi, he's still open to that, but he's also, now that we've acquired Perry, there's obviously the chance that he might pair them together too because of their history and their chemistry. So it depends. I mean, I think it's kind of on the table of trying to figure out what the team situation might look like. But I think if he ends up going that route, I definitely think I would like to focus on singles, since that's like where I started and kind of where I had my big splash. And I've played 3 matches in teams now, and I think it'd be fun to do some more singles damage.
Yeah, I'm likely to have a single turn. They're going to have any kind of tournament virtually. It's going to be the singles one if they can't do teams, obviously. So.
Yeah, I would definitely love to see you flex your knowledge in a singles run. I watched those reactions with you and Late to the Party, and you all were always on point with everything. So it's been really cool to see y'all go this far into the community and into the Schmodown, just with what it is. So I really hope that we get to see you tear it up in some singles.
Do some rifle damage.
That'd be nice. That's definitely the plan. I think I could do it. I think I have the potential. I mean, I watch all the matches, and in every match I perform very well. Generally, I miss questions, of course. Everyone misses questions, but overall, I say I perform very well on questions.
Jeff Altman does bring up a good point that they have good chemistry, but they might be too similar in strengths. That's the thing that's always kind of brought up. If you want to cover each other's weaknesses and things. So
that's the thing. And I think it's also potential, like it could be like myself and Haley, or it could be myself and Perry. Like either one of those combinations, could work, I think. I think Perry would do well in some things that I think I struggle at. I won't say what they are. So I was like, I'm not going to say what they are, but
keep those cards close to your chest.
definitely not horror. Very good at horror. No problem there.
I've definitely noticed that. And Bond, as we can tell. Let me tell you about Bond. Okay, Josh Estes from the FinStock Exchange podcast. I had a bet with him early in the year for the Back to the Future match. He bet on, spoilers if anybody's out there hasn't seen that yet, they should by now. He bet on Brad Gilmore, and I bet on Kevin Smith. He wanted to go double or nothing with me, and he picked the Bond match.
Nice.
He picked Brad Gilmore, and I picked you. So I need to save my money for me, because I don't want to pay this guy anything. I don't want to go to his podcast. It's like my net legs. So I need you to kick ass in the Bond.
All right.
No pressure. No pressure.
Right. I guarantee you I will. I guarantee you I will kick ass. I just have to kick ass better than Gilmore and Kalinowski. Because I think they're all going to bring it. I think Gilmore too is going to be able to bring it. I mean, I was on a Bond related podcast with him, and he definitely knows his Bond. So it's going to be a fun match, and it's going to be a good show for the fans. That's the main thing. I think this is something that that people have been wanting, and I've obviously been wanting, and yeah, it's fun.
That's actually the one good thing about quarantine as far as Schmodown goes. I mean, we've lost a lot of other Schmodown, but we've had a lot of these kind of cool exhibitions that we never would have seen before. So it's
because the exhibitions were kind of off the table, going like because Christian was interested in exploring these other things like those what if matches and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Right.
And I think because of the pandemic, he was like, we got to we have all these exhibition ideas that were brought forward. Let's go ahead and cash in on those, and then we have a bank of matches, to set us up for a couple months essentially to get us through, whatever else is going on. And now we have the 2 tournaments, which also help out with that as well, obviously.
Absolutely. And yeah, they've been good. I mean, they've been some of the best matches we've seen. Like that Lord of the Rings match was phenomenal. So
that Lord of the Rings match is probably my favorite match of the year.
Yeah, it was great. Yep, and the championship match was a lot of fun too.
Yeah, I'm glad that they put that out on the YouTubes.
On the YouTube.
Yeah.
Now I gotta ask you, still have that slightly used corruption shirt that you're trying to give away to
I do. It's somewhere.
Yeah. Every time I see the chat, you're gonna give it away to someone.
It's somewhere in here. I'm hoping if they can gain a couple more points this league, it might increase in value a little bit,
I love seeing all of this stuff with the managers go back and forth.
I might give it to Snyder. He's known for selling his sweaty shirts on eBay.
Well, that's couch.
Yeah. I wish I would have bought a book from him whenever he had his epic little garage sale.
As a spectacular.
Yeah.
I think Robert Vanessa bought something from him. I don't remember what it was. But
didn't they buy the Air Mags?
Yeah,
didn't
Robert buy the Air Mags? They bought Air Mags. Yeah, that's what they were.
Yes. If you don't know, if anyone doesn't know what Air Mags are out there, they're Marty McFly's. They're the shoes that Marty McFly wears in Back to the Future when it goes into 2015.
Those weren't legit Air Mags though, right?
No.
They were
I don't know.
They were
I didn't
like a more gimmicky prop one, I'm guessing. I haven't actually seen them, but I know real Air Mags are expensive, legit ones.
Yes, and I think I can't even. I remember Robert telling me how much he paid for them, and I just can't remember what it was. So I don't know. I also didn't get a good look at him, but
Snyder. He paid too much,
and I'm sure, and he was happy about
it. Snyder's a character, that's for sure.
Snyder, good old Snyder.
As you keep back in the singles life or whatever, who do you want to face? Because is there anybody you haven't gotten a chance to? I mean, you obviously haven't played many times, but is there anybody you've set your sights on? Like, I want to set my medal against this guy.
Someone I've always wanted to face, and obviously I'm not going to be able to face them right now. I'd have to win some, but I've always wanted to face Ben Bateman, actually.
Ooh.
Because he's, in my opinion, he's the pro at the game, in all levels. He knows the game so well, and he executes the game so well. I think it'd be fun to go up against him and put our knowledge against each other. After I won my match against Atchity, I was on my way to the bathroom at the studio, and I stopped, and I don't remember if he stopped me or if I stopped him. Dan Merle and I had a brief interaction, and I think he mentioned something about me beating TKOing Atchity, and he said, I'm going to have to, look in my rear view mirror, for you or whatever. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool that he said that back then. And then now going forward now to what he's even more what he's added to his legend,
Mm-hmm.
It's always something I'm always like, yeah, that's some high praise right there. So
I would absolutely love to see you play against Ben Bateman. Is there anyone who's retired or is no longer playing in the Schmodown that you would wish you had the opportunity to play?
Retired. I think Rachel would be great to play. In singles, not in Intergeekdom. She would destroy me in Intergeekdom. I think I would be okay at Intergeekdom. I had this conversation with a few people recently. With the whole free agency period going on,
Mm-hmm.
I got some contacts from people asking about how I saw myself in Intergeekdom. But I was honest with them. I was like, I think I could win some matches against some first time Intergeekdom people or some lower tier Intergeekdom people, but there's no way I compete for a title right now.
Right.
So, and I don't plan on putting the work in to compete in the title in Intergeekdom. So
it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Not so.
And definitely not Star Wars. Star Wars is ridiculous.
Oh, that's as we see with the tournament. But
yeah. Paul, you okay over there, buddy?
I did. I had a little I think a bug.
So I think Rachel in singles would be great because she has, she's super knowledgeable, and just an overall great player and a great person. We have a pretty good relationship, her and I. She's a great person, and I think it would just be a lot of fun to square up against her.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, I've been in chats with you a few times during various Showdown content, and I always see you always seem to have a very interesting outlook on the Mount Rushmore discussion.
Mm-hmm.
You always, I don't think bring it up with you. I don't know if you really talk about that, because you always have much more. Some people have the same characters, and you have this very specific criteria that you want to make. Can you explain that? 'Cause I always thought it was an interesting conversation.
I mean, this might ignite some fire in the chat, but
let's do it.
Now I still put this person on Mount Rushmore in terms of if there's 4 people that we put on Mount Rushmore, I put this person up there. But don't hate on me. Brace yourselves. I technically don't think we have a greatest of all time in the Schmodown at this moment.
Okay.
So for me, I have a higher, like you said, I have more things that I like. More check boxes I want out of a player before they can reach that status. Okay. I don't put it all into titles and into knowledge. So Dan Merle, who everyone and it's nothing wrong with people that want to say he's the greatest of all time. I mean, that's definitely something you can say. I don't argue that he's the most knowledgeable player and the best person at trivia that's ever come into this league. That's obvious. But for me, I want someone. I want someone who just can play, can really sell a character as well. And he's gotten better, but what I've always said is if Dan Merle can go heel and go real, real heel, and do it well, then I will concede.
Right.
And say that he's the GOAT. But right now, that's just much respect to Dan. He's amazing. But I just think at this moment, we don't necessarily have greatest of all time. I think Ben has the potential to become that because of his character work, because of his approach to the game, because of his dedication to the Schmodown, the game. Nobody is more dedicated than that guy in conversations I have with him. It's ridiculous. That's all he wants to talk about. When we're at the bar afterwards. Oh, man, I want to talk about something else. Let's talk about something. Talk about a movie or something. I guess that's whatever.
And then I'm sure it'll just eventually find its way back to Schmodown for any conversation that Ben has.
That's true. I had to bring it up. I started to put you on the spot because I always thought that.
No, I don't mind. I just people might. I know I get flack in other chats when I bring that up, and usually it's Paul or someone else. It's yeah, I could see that point. Jake's yeah.
Because I've always thought that character work is always not considered for whatever reasons. To me, if the Schmodown it's knowledge, it's game, but it's also part of that wrestling side of it too, which is otherwise it's bar trivia. That's a big part of it. So you don't have the character work, then it gets slated a lot.
Right.
But Andrew Ghai doesn't get nearly the respect he deserves because he's probably the greatest character work we have. Of course, he's not quite the same level of the Dan Merles and maybe as far as knowledge goes, but he should be in that. More in the conversation than he is for that side of it. So.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I guess that. But another thing I want to talk about is we promised you talk about this. So I want you to explain this to Danielle has a question about this. Explain melt movies to Danielle.
So melt movies are a subgenre in the horror genre, and they're basically. You would also put them in B movie categories. Pretty much, they're usually low budget, very schlocky, and essentially it's just anything that involves melting, a body melting, gooey, kind of gory, weird, slimy.
House of Wax type of stuff.
No, there's a couple the main ones would be Street Trash would be one. Body Melt, The Stuff. So yeah, they're just over the top, kind of gore, but almost like not gore. Like a street trash, people literally like melt like on a toilet into like goo, and it's not like gory because they're like it's all like super fluorescent like colors and neon.
Right.
So that movie is I love the like melting scenes, but that movie is kind of problematic in other things because of like it has some pretty questionable scenes in modern society. But the melting stuff is fun. The Stuff is my favorite melt movie. I love The Stuff. The Stuff is great, which is about a killer, a new like dessert treat that's like an in between ice cream and frozen yogurt, but it's actually a parasitic organism that takes over your mind, and it's
Ooh, that sounds. I have.
It's fun.
No,
directed by Larry Cohen, who did a lot of really fun like B horror type movies. Like
nice.
Sweet.
Yeah, I am not familiar with this genre at all.
The Stuff is on Amazon, I think, still right now. The Stuff is.
I'm gonna go with that.
If you got Amazon, you can check it out on there. Street Trash is on Shudder if you want to watch it.
Ooh, I've always wanted to get Shudder. I'm not the biggest horror movie aficionado, I guess you could say, because I like horror movie and I like suspense in movies, but something about just a lot of really gory stuff is always kind of like. Ugh.
Yeah, I love Shudder. It's like my favorite service that I have. Mostly because of something that they have called The Last Drive-In, which is a thing that they brought back about 2 years ago, and it's based on Monster Vision, which is an old thing that used to show on TNT back in the mid '90s. Yeah. So it was a show with this host named Joe Bob Briggs, who he plays like this like Texan like hillbilly kind of guy, and he's like his set is like a trailer park, and he like watches his movies on his TV. But they brought that back as The Last Drive-In, and it's incredible. So it's basically they show 2 movies every Friday, and in between, and then the movies they take these like commercial breaks, but essentially they're just him talking about the movie. He'll have a guest on usually, interview people. He had Chris Jericho on actually for the premiere of this season, which was great. The movie was not good, probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen, but the Chris Jericho stuff was really good.
Nice. I have seen people post some like Instagram stories about watching the Last Drive-In stuff. So
yeah, it's usually trending like 1 or 2 on Friday nights on Twitter.
Nice.
The hashtag is it's pretty popular.
I had Shudder for a while.
Cool.
Absolutely, I do want to get it back. They had the Shudder's where they did the Cursed movie series too, as well, right?
I watched all that a couple weekends ago. Cursed Films. It's like a 5-part like docuseries on like movies that have like a kind of cursed stigma.
The Crow, right, was one of the big ones.
The Crow. So they did The Exorcist, The Omen, The Crow, Poltergeist, and then Twilight Zone the movie. Twilight Zone the movie, I mean, it's not a curse. It's just something really shitty that happened. And it's actually probably the best one. And it's super like, I think it's important because a lot of people, I think, don't know about that and don't know that John Landis like got away with murdering 3 people, including 2 underage children. Yeah, it's still a really it's a hard watch because they actually do show like footage, and it's like far away, but like you can definitely see some things happen if you know what happens. I don't know if Danny knows what happens, but essentially during the filming of Twilight Zone, during the first short, which is still in the film, the actor can't remember his name, Vic Morrow, who's Jennifer Jason Leigh's father. He was in this like the short was like he's a racist guy and he goes through different periods of time, like essentially learning his lessons. So he goes to like Nazi Germany and then he goes to like Vietnam. But in the Vietnam scene, there's a part that takes place in this village and he's supposed to be saving these 2 children and he's running with them to safety through the river and there's a helicopter overhead. And essentially John Landis wanted like more explosions, and he also went around and hired 2 kids that weren't like in like the acting union because the acting union wouldn't let the kids work because it was too late at night. They weren't allowed to work that late. So he went around that, hired these 2 other kids, brought them in, told the parents, "Oh yeah, it's fine, it's safe, don't worry." It's like a Disneyland ride. And then essentially the helicopter, there was too many explosions. The explosions were too big. The helicopter lost control, went down in the river on top of them, decapitated Vic Morrow and one of the kids, and then crushed the other kid.
Oh my gosh, I do know that story. I have.
John Landis was found not guilty of manslaughter, but I think he was. I think he was. I think there was like some civil suits that he had to pay and stuff like that. Obviously with the families, but still, I mean, a lot of people don't know about that story, and
yeah,
I like that movie a lot, but it's a it's a hell of a stigma to have on it.
I recently watched the Steven Spielberg, watching all the Steven Spielbergs, and that's when I got to that part to watch his short, and I read about that. I was like, holy shit! I know him and Landis never really got on after that. Obviously, I mean,
they pretty much ended their relationship after that. But yeah, I definitely recommend Curse Films. It's great. Twilight Zone episode is really good. Like I said, John Landis does not make an appearance. Shocking.
Good. Yeah.
But the guy who did the production design on that movie is there and gives his side, and it's like I feel so sorry for that guy because he's clearly still like dealing with the repercussions of like what he was kind of involved in as well in terms of building the sets and stuff.
What a bummer, man.
Kind of nuts. I'll have to get shouted out definitely back just to watch that.
Anyway, that was a big tangent. Sorry about that.
No, don't be.
Have you seen our show before?
Yeah, sure.
Put the timer on, Paul. Put the timer on.
No, there is there. So I mean, let's talk about that. Like, how'd you get into horror? Like, because horror's your big buff here listening.
My dad was super into like sci-fi and horror. He grew up in the 50s, and he was always into like all that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. So at a pretty young age, I was pretty much allowed to watch like whatever. Tank Rants. There you go. That's a new thing.
Yeah, I like it.
But so he introduced me to like the whole genre of horror, and then I was always really into it. I remember going to Blockbuster, but mostly Hollywood Video, because Hollywood Video was the better sections for like horror, in my opinion. So I remember renting lots of movies all the time from Hollywood Video. Like movies I remember renting so much would be like Ghoulies and like the Puppet Master movies,
Basket Case,
other like 90s movies that aren't good but I love, like this movie called Grimm, Critters, all those. Critters is great. I mean, as a kid I was just always into like horror movies, and so it just stuck, and it's just the genre I love. I don't know, I just think it's super fun. I don't get very scared. Oh, Basket Case is great.
Love Basket Case.
And I recently watched because of The Last Drive-In 2 weeks ago. They showed Brain Damage, which I had never seen somehow, and it's done by the same director who directed Basket Case. And there's a scene on this subway, and I was thinking to myself as I was watching it with some friends over Zoom, and I was like, oh man, what if this movie, because it's a very similar movie. Mm-hmm. Basket Case essentially is a movie about this guy who his Siamese twin brother was amputated from him when they were young, but he carries him around in a basket, and he's like mutated and scary and weird, and his name's Belial. But anyways, that's Belial. And then in Brain Damage, this guy becomes infected with like this parasite that like lives in his brain and feeds off like brains. Yep. And also like he becomes dependent on it like it's a drug. But anyways, as I was watching that movie, I was like, man, I wish this was in the same universe as Basket Case. And then spoilers, there's a scene on a subway where the character's on a subway and he's sitting across from the brother from Basket Case and he's holding the basket, and I'm like, oh my god, this is great.
So perfect.
That's my rant on Basket Case and Brain Damage.
So. I feel horror gets away with that with a lot of the genres. They kind of like can do those kind of crossovers like that, and horror fans are a very special breed. I find they're very dedicated to their it could be a bad movie, a good movie. It's horror. We're still watching it pretty much. Yeah,
it's generally a lot of bad movies, but I like them all. I love them all.
And that's the thing too. Like I know as a horror fan, you did the marathons at some point. What was your favorite horror marathon that you ever did?
Think here. I mean, I was kind of there was these like movies they're not necessarily horror, but they're like a tangent offshoot like sci-fi. Like, but I remember like one time my sister and I rented like all of the like I think there was like 2 or 3 of them, the Doll Man movies. Do you remember Doll Man?
Yes, I was
with Tim Thomerson from Trancers.
Right. Yep.
And it had the the first Doll Man, the villain was Jackie Earl Haley before he became popular again, obviously with I forgot the movie that he was nominated for an Oscar for, but where he was like a child molester.
Yeah, not Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, no, not Freddy Krueger. No,
the other child molester.
But I actually like Jackie Earl Haley because there was a movie that he was in when I was like my dad introduced me to when I was younger. Not a horror movie, but it's called Breaking Away with Dennis Quaid.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And essentially, it's just like a coming of age movie about these kids in high school, and essentially they end up having to like do this bike race at the end of the movie. It's a really good movie though. It's like really, really good. But he's in that. He's like a kid in that movie. He's like a teenager.
Great. Yeah.
But yeah, the Doll Man is really good. I've done some marathons recently just because we have a really great independent theater here in Tucson called The Loft Cinema, and they do some really awesome programming. Twice a year, they do these things called the all-night Screamaramas. So it's from like 6 p.m. until it's from sundown to sunup essentially, and it's just a marathon of like horror movies. And sometimes they have a theme, and sometimes they don't. But like the one so they canceled the most recent one because of the pandemic, so we missed that one. I was very sad. And then they also do a sci-fi slumber party over the summer, which is a sci-fi marathon. That's all night. Yeah. But those are great. Those marathons are awesome. They did a Stephen King one like a year and a half ago. That was awesome. They did. It was The Mist. This wasn't in order, but they did The Mist, Misery.
Okay.
Misery was like a 35 millimeter cut too, which was awesome. They did Maximum Overdrive, which was great.
I love that movie. I really do. It's one of my favorite things to watch.
Stephen King on cocaine.
Yes.
A friend of mine recently referred to that movie. Actually, Robert was on this Zoom party with us. A friend of ours referred to that movie as if sentient cocaine made a movie, it would be Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah, your vending machine just shoots Coca-Cola cans at you until you die.
That seems brutal too. When the coach gets hit in the head, man. There's actually an unrated. Like Stephen King made a director's cut for that, the original cut for that movie, and like they were like, "No way, that we'll ever let you release this." And so but that, like, I don't think that version exists. I mean, release the King cut.
The King cut.
Release the King cut. That's a hashtag I can get behind.
Supposedly, it was like way more violent, like and bloody and just ridiculous. So
give it to me. That's what
I want to see. Yeah.
Those are marathons I still do, in a theater. It's great because it's in a theater, and the Loft has like the biggest steamroller.
Yes.
Or the waitress freaking out. We made you. We made you.
So awesome.
And it's also got Giancarlo Esposito in a very, very early role. He's the guy that gets electrocuted at the arcade machine.
That's right. That's very right. That's right.
So that's spring. I just rewatched Breaking Bad. Actually, I literally finished it yesterday.
So good.
I should go.
And then I watched El Camino, which I hadn't watched yet because
I still haven't seen El Camino.
I was like, I want to do a rewatch because it's been since it actually was on that I last saw it. So it all started with Better Call Saul. I did a binge of Better Call Saul, and then I was like, I'm going to rewatch Breaking Bad. So,
what do you think of El Camino?
No, I mean, I knew that show was great, but I think I kind of took it for granted a little bit. That show's really fucking good.
Really
it's so good. Oh my god, it's crazy.
What do you think of El Camino?
I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I think it's a bit unnecessary. Like I think it's like a lot of people's opinions. I mean, I'm glad to kind of have an epilogue to the close out of Jesse's character, other than him just driving out and laughing and crying maniacally. But I thought it was done really well. You got to see Robert Forster was great.
Yeah,
back and one of his last roles, I think. So
that was
really good. Mm-hmm. I actually really enjoyed the because there's a lot of extra stuff with Todd that I really enjoyed with Jesse Plemons' character. I thought Todd was an interesting character, and he's such a scumbag, and you kind of learn even more about how much of a he's definitely a sociopath. I mean, he's definitely not,
definitely.
You need to go back and watch it. So I want to ask you a quick question about King movies. Do you have a favorite King adaptation movie?
Favorite King adaptation movie? Yes, I do actually. So I will say this movie was huge for me when I was a kid, and I love this movie, and this will give it away what it is, but it's probably my favorite werewolf movie.
Nice.
And that's Silver Bullet.
Yeah.
I love Silver Bullet. Like, I love that movie. I love I love Corey Haim. I love Gary Busey.
Gary Busey.
I love his cool silver bullet wheelchair bike awesome thing. I love Everett McGill as the preacher / as the, I don't know, spoiler. It's an old movie. I mean, I don't know.
It's fine.
Is the werewolf. I think the werewolf is really cool. It's got some genuinely frightening scenes that still like get to me as I watch it. Like the scene when he's shooting the fireworks at night and like you see the werewolf's like reflection in the mirror in the water. That scene always creeps me out with the music. The scene in the greenhouse when he kills the girl's dad. That scene always freaks me out. It's just I think that movie's great. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
And then I'll probably put The Mist as a close second. I really like The Mist as well.
This is underrated.
Yes.
A lot of people hate the ending. I love the ending. I think it's better than what was in the book. I read it's a short story, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've always tended to like Stephen King's shorts even better than a lot of his bigger novels anyway. I think that the shorts could make some great movies. I think it mine some of those some more.
Stand By Me comes from a short.
Yep. Shawshank.
Shawshank also. Yep.
Short.
Oh, I love Stephen King.
Even Silver Bullet, it's not like a super long. I think it's like more of a novella than a novel. And it's a lot different than the actual movie, but I love the movie.
Not sure who Travis is, but he hates The Mist, I guess.
Travis is like a producer for Late to the Party, and he's in like their retro reaction videos.
Hey.
Oh, okay, that's okay. I know that.
Travis is the one that drove us to California for our first trip. He's actually the reason we were able to make that first trip to the Free for All because Travis offered to drive us all and be like our like mule, I guess. I don't know.
Well, thank you, Travis.
Big shout out to Travis.
Is that how it was a similar story for Bond? I know your other big thing was Bond, like growing up. Is that something you did with your father as well?
Yeah, and then also I kind of got more into it like around so I really got into it with the Pierce Brosnan era, with especially like with the GoldenEye game, obviously.
That's what I was just about to say. Yep.
That's what kind of really got me into it. But my dad was into it as well, and I remember going and always I remember picking up like all the VHSs and like used from this place we have here in Tucson called Bookman's, which is awesome. But yeah, I love all Bond. So even bad Bond to me is still good. I treat it the same way as pizza. Like as long as you give me like some crust with some cheese and sauce, for the most part, I'll be pretty happy.
Okay.
I like that. That's a great Bond analogy right there.
Well, I love Roger Moore. Roger Moore is my favorite Bond, and he's I will admit that his movies are also probably considered like most of them are considered the worst Bond movies because they're so like the cheese factor got really high, and he was also super old. Like he was like a year. He was like 2 or 3 years older than Connery.
Oh my gosh.
Which is weird because he like took over for Connery, and and in his last Bond movie, in A View to a Kill, he was like 57 years old.
I've actually been doing a Bond watch through
with Tanya Roberts.
Yeah,
as a love interest.
Because I missed a bunch of the Bonds growing up. I did the same thing, but I just recently was starting to watch through. I think I just got through The Spy Who Loved Me, and I find that I love the cheesiness of the Roger Moore. Something about that makes it just a little more fun. Like it's almost like they know what they're doing.
That's like when it's like it's done to like when they know like what they're doing. That's what makes it fun for me. When it's like they're trying to be serious still,
right,
and it just is cheesy, which is what, in my opinion, a lot of the later Brosnan movies do.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why I don't like a lot of the later Brosnan. I still enjoy them because it's fun, but I would put like World's Not Enough is like in like my bottom tier. I actually like Die Another Day more than World's Not Enough because I think by Die Another Day they were like, let's just go full out there, like craziness, weird cheesiness, yeah.
Okay, but The World Is Not Enough is a great song though.
It's a good song. It's a very good song. It's not in my top 10, but it's a good song.
What's the number one? What's the number one song?
My number one fluctuates all the time.
Okay.
So it goes between like three songs. Currently, I would say my number one is right now Nobody Does It Better from The Spy Who Loved Me by Carly Simon. That song is just great. And then it also goes between that, Goldfinger. Goldfinger is like a staple. And then I really, really enjoy, this one's kind of like one a lot of people may not recognize, but the instrumental for On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is the title track because it's the song that's played during the title sequence, and it's really, really awesome. It's just this really cool, like 60s synthy, like keyboard like stuff going on in this like keyboard bass, and it's just really cool. And it's something that carried out throughout the entire film. Essentially, that theme pops up a lot, which happens in a lot of Bond movies. I mean, that's kind of a staple of like a Bond song is for it to pop up throughout the film, essentially.
Do you have any feelings about Billie Eilish doing this new Bond song?
I have feelings about that for sure.
I do too.
Paul and I we talked about this in Twitter. Like we had DMs about this when it came out. Actually,
we did.
I think the song is very good as a song, and I think she does a good job performing it as Billie Eilish. I don't think Billie Eilish is a good fit for a Bond theme.
Agreed.
So essentially, a Bond theme for me has to have one of two things, or both of these things. You either have to have someone that can really like belt out some super powerful vocals, not throughout the entire song, but just have these moments where they just like they really hit these levels. Billie Eilish, that's not really her thing. It's not her style. She's a great singer, but that's just not what she does. She's
a whisper singer.
She's very low key. So if you don't do that, the other thing you have to have is you have to have some really good like popping instrumental bits in there, like some horns or something, like a brass section coming in, and they don't have that either. And there's like moments when I'm listening to the song that I get frustrated because I'm like, I can think what I want it to do, and it never does, and I'm just like, oh man, they like missed it. But interesting enough, I shared this with Paul. So a friend of mine sent this to me, and then I sent it to Paul. There's this guy. I'll tweet it out after this, but there's this guy who does like I've like watched a lot of his videos now because he does all these crazy like songs in styles of other people. Ooh. And so he does a cover of No Time to Die in the style of Chris Cornell. And Chris Cornell obviously did, You Know My Name, which is a great Bond song. And it's instantly like for me a better version of that song. Like I think I'll be more interested in like as the time goes, I'll be more interested in like the covers of this song and like what it can be essentially. But as a Bond song, I don't think it fits, but it's a very good song. It's way better than the last Bond song in terms of a quality song. I actually absolutely hate The Writings on the Wall.
I'm not a big fan of that.
It's the second worst Bond song in my opinion. So
what's the worst then?
The worst. There's only one real answer. Hopefully you know it.
I don't.
Die Another Day by Madonna. That song does not belong in a Bond movie. Like,
oh my god!
It's like and it was in that weird Madonna phase where she was doing these like, I like some of the songs she did in that phase actually, but like, it's very just 90s or early 2000s club sounding.
I feel like 90s Madonna is its own genre.
Yeah,
it is really much,
it's very distinct.
Because I think it was around the same time period as she did like the song like Hung Up and like Sorry and stuff like that, and it's got a very similar feel to that. Very DJ heavy and stuff, which is fine, but it's not a Bond song like whatsoever. It's weird. And then she's in the movie too, which is strange.
That's the worst.
Do you remember when she was in a bunch of movies? Yeah, man.
I think it's the first time that the singer's actually ever been in a cameo in a Bond movie.
So out of place. So out of place.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, how upset would you be if you saw Billie Eilish in the new Bond movie?
I wouldn't be upset. It's fine, but it wouldn't. Yeah.
But,
Paul is not happy about.
I'm not a Billie. I can't do it. I think it's partially because my daughter loves her. So like I'm just like way overplayed for her now. That could be it. But
I just thought the live versions of the song might be better too. So I like listened to a live version of it, and it's the same. So it's just it's the way it is. It's not for me in terms of Bond songs.
Exactly. Actually, I'm just going to continue bringing our Twitter conversation, our Twitter DM conversation now.
Different things
too. We talked about. I know you told me during the DM that you would love to see Lady Gaga do it. And
Lady Gaga is my thing. I've been listening to a lot of Lady Gaga lately. Actually, I've just been jamming the hell out of it. I love Lady Gaga. She's great. But I think she'd be perfect like for a Bond like theme, especially like a stripped down Lady Gaga. Where she's mostly just like her vocals and like a piano or something. Or even some brass, I think she'd be good. Like if you listen to that song, like that song "Million Reasons."
Yeah, I love that song.
That's a good like. I think that's a good song for her to be like. This is my reference. Here's my reference.
Right.
Here. This is the song. So I think I could do really good at a Bond song based on this song.
So yeah, you said that, and I always obviously I said I thought the Queen would have been great back in the day having Freddie do it. Is there anybody in history that you would go back and say this would have been cool to see this artist have done it at some point in history?
Because of like, so I think so. My favorite, I think I would love to see my favorite band of all time do it, and I'll reveal who that is here in a second. But they're an English band, so there's the Bond connection right there. I'm not sure how it would go honestly, but I think they were a talented enough band where they didn't cover one genre. Like they're widely considered like one genre, but in my opinion, they span like so many other genres, and that's the Clash.
Oh wow!
Nice.
So I think the Clash. I think the Clash would have been cool to see them do a Bond song back in the day. I'm not sure like Joe Strummer would have been into it or anything, but I think that would have been cool back in the day to be able to see.
That could have been very interesting. Billy Buff.
I mean, Tom York technically already did a Bond song. They did the alternate theme to Spectre, so Radiohead did.
That's true.
Which is it's a good song. I mean, I didn't love it as much either, but it's a good song. I can talk about alternate Bond themes if you want.
Oh,
we can talk about.
There you go.
My favorite alternate Bond theme is "Surrender" by Katie Lang, which was the alternate theme for "Tomorrow Never Dies," and I think it's a way better song than Sheryl Crow's song.
Yeah, I was not a big
fan. Sheryl Crow's song is good too, but I think "Surrender's" way better. And it's at the end of the movie. It's the song that plays during the end titles, but it's just great. It starts off with these really great piercing horns, a la like Goldfinger. Yeah, it's awesome. And then Blondie did a theme for I forgot what movie it was. For Your Eyes Only. But they had to change the title. It's called I forgot what it's called, but it's a really good song. Okay. They had to rename it because it was originally called For Your Eyes Only, but they renamed it. But it's a good song. It's a really good song.
I did want to say I agree with Janine as well, though. I didn't like how Jack and Alicia didn't fit together. I agree with that, Janine. I agree with that. Yeah,
it's a weird combination for sure. It's strange. I do love that movie though, so we can. I'm a stand from my soapbox and preach the word of Quantum of Solace.
Really, that's impressive because I want to watch it again now because I've had some people tell me that. I remember I watched through the Craig Bonds and I loved Casino Royale so much, and Quantum of Solace just bored me to tears. And I don't know what it was, but I might not have been in the right frame of mind. So maybe I'll give it another shot. I'm going to give it another shot. I've been watching.
I would recommend if you're going back to it, I would recommend watching it. I would recommend watching them as a package. So watch Casino Royale.
Same day.
Put some time, set aside some time, and watch them as one movie essentially, because it's like one complete story essentially. Okay. I think that movie has like one of the best cold opens for any Bond movie. That car chase,
that was good.
Italy is like incredible. I think Matthew Almeric is a really good villain. He's super creepy and weird. I think he's better than what they tried to do with Christoph Waltz as Blofeld. I think Matthew Almeric would have been a better choice because he's just super creepy, and I think he did a really good job. I mean, I think that movie is going to age well. It's going to take some time, but I think it's going to end up being like On Her Majesty's Secret Service, where it was kind of like made fun of and no one liked it at the beginning, and now On Her Majesty's Secret Service is considered like one of the best, like it's in the top tier of like Bond films.
Right.
And I think Quantum will age well. I rank the Craig films in order of release, honestly.
Okay. All right.
Nice.
Skyfall is fine, but I don't love it as much as everyone else. I acknowledge that it's a good movie. I don't think it's a great Bond movie. Like Silva's plan literally is just all like by chance. Like there's no way any of that stuff would actually happen. And then they actually had to make it like make sense by creating Blofeld and using Blofeld to be the one that actually was the puppet master.
Right.
The master, whatever he says.
That's right.
The architect of all your pain, James. If Blofeld's behind it all, then okay, I can see that happening.
Well, Kelsey wants to start watching Bond movies. Where should she start? That's always a good question because I mean, the older Connery movies are definitely of their time.
I mean, a lot of the movies are of their time. I acknowledge that for sure. I don't watch them for that reason. I love them for other reasons.
Right.
But I mean, I think you haven't seen any of them. She said.
Kelsey, you're back there. Have you seen any of them? You can shake your head. I
would say if you haven't seen any of the Craig movies, I would say watch the Craig movies and see if you like them. and then after that, then maybe explore some of the older films. But I think starting with the Craig movies would be good. Okay. So I would watch Casino Royale. Casino Royale is a lot of people's number one Bond film. It's my number two, but it could very easily be my number one eventually. My number one is From Russia with Love, which is the second Bond film. I think that's just the best overall like spy story in terms of a James Bond movie. It's just very good. It's very cat and mouse. You got Red Grant hunting Bond like through the entire movie, and Bond doesn't even know it. And then they have their little they have their great scene on the train, which is just amazing.
Yes.
Robert Shaw, the great Robert Shaw, is Red Grant, the best henchman in Bond history. He is a henchman. He is not the villain.
I was going to ask you that, actually. That's going to be my thing, what your favorite henchman was. I have some of the different ones.
My favorite henchman is Red Grant. My second favorite henchman is Mayday from A View to a Kill.
Okay.
Third favorite would probably be Mr. Wint and Mr. Kid. I love Mr. Wint and Mr. Kid from Diamonds Are Forever. Even though they did this whole weird thing where they made them gay and they kind of poked fun at it, but that's because it was also it's of its time, but they're great characters. Played by Bruce Glover, who is Crispin Glover's dad. So you can imagine how weird Crispin Glover is, and just think of his dad must be a weirdo too, and he is. And then Mr. Kid was played by a guy who's never even acted before. He was a jazz bass player, Putter Smith, and he's got this weird hair
great
going
name.
on. Yeah, Putter Smith. He's a pretty accomplished like bass player for like a jazz bassist.
That's sweet.
But he played. They were hitmen essentially. I mean,
right.
Yeah, they were really fun.
Speaking of Crispin Glover and horror, Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th. Yeah, his weird dancing.
Oh my gosh.
That's great. Friday the 13th has like two of like the best dancing like moments in movie history, in my opinion. So the part 4 you have Crispin Glover, right. And then part 5, which part 5 is its own movie. It's got a lot of problems, obviously. But there's a part where one of the girls is like dancing in her room. She's got like music on, and she's doing like this weird like she's practicing some weird dance, and it's just so weird and awkward. And great. Yeah.
I read 5 the first time through, but the second time through, kind of give
Friday the 13th part 5. Yeah, it's got some problems. There's actually a better version of Friday the 13th Part 5 is a song called A New Beginning by a band or a guy called Wolfie's Just Fine, which is a Terminator 2 reference. And Wolfie's Just Fine is John LaJoie, who was in the League.
Oh, okay.
He did a lot of those. He did a lot of those goofy ass songs back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has this.
Exactly
he has like this alter like personality or ego or whatever as like this folk singer, and he's got some really great songs, and one of them, and they're all movie related. So he has a song called The Pigeon Lady, which is about the lady from Home Alone 2.
Nice.
And then he has a song called Todd and Janelle, which is about John Connor's foster parents in Terminator 2. And then he has a song called A New Beginning, and the music video is seriously like made better than the actual movie Friday the 13th. But it's essentially a song about a kid's perspective of watching Friday the 13th Part 5 for the first time. And, as a kid, especially with like the horror genre, you have that same experience where like you watch a movie for the first time and you're like, I don't know if I should be watching this, but I'm super intrigued. But I feel like I should go home because I don't think my parents would like this. So that's what this song essentially is. It's basically like a song talking about those emotions as this kid is watching Friday the 13th Part 5.
I love that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I'm surprised I haven't seen that because I'm a big League and Friday the 13th fan, to be honest with you. So
I guess I'll tweet those things out as well when I'm after this. I'll just tweet some videos and fun stuff, and people can watch it if they want.
Yeah, for this noob over here.
Oh man. Well, is it time? Should we go move on to a little bit of this or that?
I think it's time.
It is time. If you've seen our show before, you know what this is. I will be giving Tim 2 things to debate. He can take one, he'll take the other. He can ask for clarification. He can make up his own clarification. It's really up to him. He's the guest. So we'll start. We always do, even though you have told me the answer before. And I almost hate to do this because I like you so much. I don't want you to get booed out of here. But Team Ghai or Team Trader?
I mean, I have to go Team Trader. That's just where I go.
We were great friends. We were getting along so well.
Although I would be Team Snickers if that was an option.
Ooh.
Okay, I'll make that the option. Team Snickers or Team Trader?
Team Snickers.
All right, we're back on.
You got it. Got him.
I think I'm gonna change that. There you go.
I will vote for a dog over. I will vote for a dog or an animal over any person in those situations.
That's true. That's true. I'm gonna make it hard then for you. Snickers or Leia?
I've met them both, so it's hard.
That is true, Billy. That is true, Billy.
That's how we get them.
I'm gonna just give a slight edge and go Team Snickers.
Okay.
Hey.
All right. That's so we're with that as well.
Team Snickers and Leia.
Yeah.
Bend those rules.
There we go. Both.
There you go.
I'll be Team Snickers.
Snicker
Team Leia eating a Snickers bar.
Oh,
Right?
honey.
Not eating Snickers, but eating a Snickers bar.
Okay. A Halloween franchise or Friday the 13th franchise?
Friday the 13th is my favorite franchise overall. However, I also really enjoy the Halloween franchise, and I wouldn't put any Friday the 13th movie in my top 10 horror films, but I would put Halloween as Halloween's probably my number one horror film, honestly.
The original.
So the original Halloween movie is incredible. It's like a perfect film in my opinion. But overall, I would say I enjoy more. I have more fun watching Friday the 13th. But I do love both franchises and their wackiness.
I just wish Halloween would solve its numbering problem of its sequels and stuff.
I mean, they have 4 different timelines, so it's like its own problem. They retcon several things, but it's fine. It is what it is.
3 Halloween 2s, technically speaking, is it?
Yeah. I mean, the nice thing is, people are like, oh, I'm sad that they got rid of Halloween 2 and she's no longer his sister. It's like, yeah, they didn't get rid of the movie. You can still watch the movie and you can still believe that if you want. This is a free world. It's not like you're not saying you can't believe that Laurie's not her brother or her sister.
That's my head.
If you want to believe that, do it. It's fine. That movie.
You can talk all about Michael and the Druids and from Halloween.
She was his sister for the majority of the movies. Even after they retconned, even after they did the first retcon with H2O, she was still his sister in that film. So it wasn't until this new timeline that retconned 2. But I do think 2 is a great film. So I do enjoy 2.
I think it's fun. I like all the Halloween movies, to be honest.
Yeah, they're all fun. I don't like the Rob Zombie ones. I do not like the Rob Zombie ones.
I like them for different. I don't like them as Halloween movies. I kind of take them out of the franchise and kind of keep it on its own.
They're Rob Zombie films.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's what it is.
Yeah.
We got some super chats. Right, I'll get into there. We'll interrupt this or that because there's super chats. I don't want them to disappear. Malcolm's Miller or Steven, he's going to live dangerous there. Take 3 or C2A.
I'm gonna plead the 5th.
I'll let that go.
Self-incrimination.
Yeah. That's fine.
How about this one? Consider there.
They're both great. I'll say they're both great. Take 3 is one of the OGs in terms of this space with Late to the Party and stuff, and they've been putting out so much work around the Schmodown for a long time. So I think Take 3. I don't think they get enough love as they should. So go subscribe to Take 3. Give them a listen. They got a lot of good content over there. They got some good people. Kristen, Malcolm are great people. So
wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yes.
We love them over there as well. So Malcolm's a good friend. So that's Kristen too. Second one, Son of Fanatics are Late to the Party. He's really just trying
this one's easy for me. I'm going to say Son of Fanatics because Late to the Party, they're just losers that I left behind me back in the day.
Toss aside. I love it.
Pew, pew, pew. Shots fired.
Wow, I'm going to do it while we're here. They split up down the Schmodown. Are you Team Robert or Team Vanessa?
I have a longer history with Robert, so I'm going to go Team Robert. I guess technically I don't have a longer history. Because we don't go back to high school, even though we went to high school together. But we're similar, so I'm going to go with Robert.
Fair enough. But see, you were wrong, Chris. He picked you. It's all good. Though. Very excited about this.
I think since I said that though, I think Robert needs to make his brother watch The Stuff.
Yes.
If you guys do a watch along for The Stuff on your channel, I will come on it.
Ooh.
He's
I don't know if you guys
threatening.
watch alongs, but that's something I would do with you guys.
I haven't done we haven't done watch alongs ourselves. And Listen, if I did do a watch along recently of Iron Man, I think they did that the other couple days ago now, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm serious. I didn't say it just to like pull your leg. Let's do it.
I would love to watch that. I'd love to watch that. So
Me too.
They call me Mo. They call me Mo because I always want Mo. That's all I'm gonna say.
Chris is not into it, I don't think. All right, that's all right. Maybe I'll sub for Chris that day or something, so I wouldn't mind it. All right, what else we got here? You said your favorite Bond already, so I'm going to take that one off the list here. Roger Moore here. Pierce Brosnan or Timothy Dalton?
Bond or like films or just kind of both, I guess.
You do everyone.
I think Timothy Dalton's a better Bond. I think Timothy Dalton's one of the best Bonds in terms of Bonds. He's not my favorite, but he's definitely like a very good Bond. I think both his movies. Demon License to Kill, I think, is a really fun movie. Living Daylights is really, really a really good movie. I think it might be the second best in terms of like an overall like spy story. It might be a little hard to follow the plot at some point, but like figuring out like what exactly is going on, like what the overall like who's scheming what exactly, because there are two different kind of villains essentially. On top of a really good henchman. In Necros. Necros is a good henchman.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a long line of the blonde-haired, blue-eyed, Aryan-looking Nazi henchmen that the James Bond seemed to have a fancy for.
Fair enough. Yeah, you're starting a war here with Chris.
Yeah.
Going to stormed into his room and yelled at him he's going to watch the stuff, and he will.
I think you'll enjoy it. It's a fun. I'm not saying it's not like an Oscar-worthy movie. It's just a fun movie and essentially like if we watch it, we'll just do commentary and talk about it and crack jokes and stuff because it's one of those types of movies. I think it's a lot of fun.
Fair enough. I totally agree. All right, what else we got here? Here's probably the two most famous, even if they're not your favorites, and I don't know if they're anybody's favorite, but two most famous henchmen: Oddjob or Jaws.
I'm gonna go Jaws because I like his character progression because he goes from being a henchman to being a good guy, and he finds love, and he ends up in a happy place.
I think that's where I am. I just watched part, so I'm just about to get to that.
Also, he's in Happy Gilmore, so
that's another good point. Oddjob actually better in the game, I think, than I did in that.
Oh, Oddjob was like a cheat. Like that was the thing. Like everyone, it was like. I remember it being a race to see who could get to Oddjob first because he was like short, so he was like you were at an advantage because of his height.
Yep.
Oddjob was a cheat, but like we would have to like make agreements. We'd be like, okay, if we're playing this round, can we mutually agree that no one's going to play as Oddjob? Okay.
So that's exactly what we did. Yep. All right. Let's see. This is one I've asked a few times, but I'm curious. Are you more looking forward to a John Wick 4 or a Matrix 4? Keanu Sans.
I haven't seen John Wick 2 or 3.
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
But I will say I'm more looking forward to a John Wick 4, having not seen the previous ones, just because I know their reputation and based off the first one, I know it's going to be great. Matrix 4, it's cool. I mean, it's fine. It'll be fine. I don't know. I'm not. I'm excited they're making it, I guess, but like I'm not like going crazy over it. Because I didn't like the way the series kind of like ended, really. Yeah. I liked aspects of Reloaded, but I really didn't enjoy Revolutions. I need to rewatch them. I haven't seen them since they came out, so I think I've only seen them once. Well, I've seen Reloaded more than once, but I think I've only seen Revolutions once. So I love the original. The original one's an all-timer. I mean,
oh yeah,
so
It's
absolutely
a great movie.
I think I would only say Matrix 4 only because it's been so long. I'm interested to see where they're going with that.
Yeah. And one of the Wachowskis, they're both not working on it, right? I think it's just Lana, right?
It's just Lana. I think it's Lana.
Yeah.
Lana. I don't. Yeah, it's just the one. I know that much. But everybody's back. I'm interested to see how they're going to do that too. But not Morpheus. I don't think I've heard about Morpheus coming back or not.
I mean, I think it's a good decision to go with new characters and to establish like a new mythology. Especially if they want to like try to milk this for more.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But I think that's good to like establish new people and new characters. Even though they are bringing back some legacy, you have to bring back legacy characters to create that like link and that draw.
Agreed.
You saw that in the Star Wars movies, obviously. So
that's the best parts, obviously. Yeah. Okay, I got a good one here for you. This is going to be a three-way. 2004 Red Sox, 2013 Red Sox, 2018 Red Sox.
I'm gonna say the 2018 Red Sox.
Okay.
I just think that was like a really cool season, and that was like David Ortiz like final kind of like hurrah, because he was a part of that team, right?
No.
So no, I'm gonna say 2013. Then whichever one, it was like would have been Ortiz's last. Yeah.
How would he hit like six?
I mean, the 04 season is magical. Is a magical thing. You know what happened. Not the biggest Kurt Schilling fan, but we won't go there.
A big player, Kurt Schilling player.
Yeah. As a player, he was great. I'm glad he was able to like, help us get there. Obviously, with the bloody sock and everything, the legend that is the bloody sock.
That was my favorite moment in 2004. One of my favorite moments of the whole series was the Game 5 when Schilling, Wakefield, and was it Schilling, Wakefield, Lowe walked out in the extra innings like that. They had like the Eminem song that Danny loves so much the other
day. Mom spaghetti.
They're walking out there. It was like I got like chills watching that. Like I don't know. That whole season was great. But I agree with 2013 too. 2013 was fun. I got to see the. I was at Game 6 of the ALCS where they clinched the.
Oh, nice!
That was a fun time. So I'll go with that one. That's good too. I got a few more I'll throw in there. I got to do one food one. I'm not going to do the poutine one because you already answered that one for me. So how about New York?
Even though we know the answer, what's the answer real quick, Tim?
Poutine.
Ow!
There you go.
I'll say real quick. I mentioned this before. Let me tell my quick poutine story. So I've had poutine. I've had like the poutine on steroids. Like I don't think there's probably a better poutine out there in the world. So I went to this. So when I went to Montreal, the one restaurant I wanted to go to is this place called Au Pied de Cochon, and it was Anthony Bourdain's favorite restaurant in Montreal. And like I remember seeing it on so many food shows on like No Reservations. So I was always like, if I ever go to Montreal, this is the place I have to eat. And so I went there when I was there, and as an appetizer, they have poutine, but it's of course their version of poutine, which is like super decadent. So like they literally put foie gras in everything. Like I think I was on a food tour in Montreal, and they brought up the restaurant, and they were like, I think they said that Au Pied de Cochon accounts for like 60% of like foie gras consumption in Canada. Wow. Is that restaurant, because like they literally every dish pretty much has it. And like looking back on it, I probably would never eat foie gras ever again, just because of like after learning more about like how it's produced and stuff, it's pretty inhumane. I mean, maybe there's ways to do it in a humane way. I can't really see how, but anyways, the foie gras, the poutine was amazing. I mean, it was just regular poutine, but then it had like these really decadent pieces of foie gras on it as well, and it was incredible. And and the Imagine Dragons were sitting behind me. So
I'm gonna have to learn how foie gras is made, because I had no clue about that. So we don't have to talk about that here. I'll Google that later.
Yeah. It's not pretty.
All right, then how about New York pizza or Chicago pizza?
New York pizza all the way.
Good, yeah, no.
I like Chicago pizza. Like I said, I like pretty much all pizza. It's cheese and sauce and stuff. It's good. But I like ham. I like pineapple on my pizza, so you can hate me for that. But I definitely prefer New York style pizza over Chicago. But every now and then I'll be in the mood for. We have a really good Chicago place here in Tucson. My friend who is from Chicago lived there his whole life. He vouches for it, and so I know it's good. There's a couple places in Phoenix. I mean, there's a Giordano's in Phoenix and Illuminati's in Phoenix as well. So if I ever want like good Chicago pizza, I can go find it. But I prefer that New York slice style.
Oh yeah.
And Danielle actually really likes the New York slice too. Do you still have that video?
Yeah, I have it somewhere. Yes.
I probably took it off now. Yeah, we don't have video.
Yeah, like Kelsey says, I like pizza.
I like pizza.
Perfect.
No preference.
I like pizza.
Perfect. All right, I'll end with two director ones. Some of my favorite: Chris Nolan or Denis Villeneuve.
Well, I've been pretty vocal about this in different things, but Denis Villeneuve is my favorite currently working director. I think of all his like major releases, I haven't seen some of his earlier like stuff that he released like in Canada, and like I did have some I think released here. I haven't seen some of those, but I think of all the major like releases he's done, I don't think he's like missed on a single one. I like genuinely love all of his movies, and I think Arrival is like his masterpiece. That's my favorite film that he's ever done. I'm over the moon excited for Dune because Dune is like my favorite book of all time, and I'm super excited. And I like the Lynch film too. I got a soft spot in my heart for it. It's weird and good, but it's a Lynch movie. But yeah, Denis Villeneuve all the way. I love Christopher Nolan too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I really like the Dark Knight trilogy. Inception's great. Dunkirk. I love Dunkirk. A lot of people don't, but I love it.
But Interstellar,
I need to watch it again. I really liked it when it came out, and I think I kind of like it fell down a few pegs for me. But I still really enjoy it, but it's not a top one. I like The Prestige a lot. I think The Prestige is really great. Insomnia is really great. Memento, obviously.
I have found Interstellar better upon rewatch. That's what I've heard from a lot of people. So because it's actually my favorite Nolan movie, but
the score is really good.
The score a lot. Helps quite a bit. Yeah. The score, the moment on the water planet, that's one of my favorite. The mountains, so good. Ugh,
that whole scene just breaks me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Chris Adams is not liking the stuff, I guess, this whole trial. He's looking into the stuff. We're gonna have to have him tied down to the chair, keep those eyes open. We'll make
the stuff. Are you eating it or is it eating you? Question you have to ask yourself.
I need to watch some Melt movies.
And we'll end with two horror directors. We'll say, how about Wes Craven versus John Carpenter?
John Carpenter, 100%.
Okay.
John Carpenter might be like my second favorite director.
Okay.
I love like literally I think everything he's done except for like maybe The Ward. I don't really like, but I generally like pretty much everything else that he's done. I think I've seen most of his stuff. I mean, Big Trouble in Little China is one of my favorite movies. Halloween's one of my favorite movies. The Thing is great.
Oh yeah.
Are you a Craven fan though?
I do like Craven a lot too. Yeah, I actually like one of my favorite Craven films is actually The People Under the Stairs. I mean, The People Under the Stairs is really good, and a lot of people haven't seen that movie, but I think it's a really smart movie, kind of ahead of its time that deals a lot with marginalized people and gentrification in like poor areas and like a big city, and it takes it's like a horror route of that, but it deals with those issues, which I think is pretty smart and pretty cool. I like that. For something in like the early 90s.
It looks like Danny K, our famous Danny K. We love Danny K. 4 stars, Drew. Erie, Indiana, or Tales from the Crypt?
I grew up on both. I think I'm gonna say Erie, Indiana. I really love Erie, Indiana. I also really love Tales from the Crypt, but I think I just really enjoyed Erie, Indiana more. Erie, Indiana, or Are You Afraid of the Dark? Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Very good.
I loved Are You Afraid of the Dark as a kid.
Are You Afraid of the Dark? Goosebumps? Yeah. It's still Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah, yes, absolutely, 100%. I think Tales from the Crypt is actually why I didn't watch a lot of horror movies growing up, because that terrified me, and Leprechaun terrified me when I was a kid. So,
well, I mean, Tales from the Crypt was definitely not for kids. I mean, I watched it as a kid and I loved it, but Erie, Indiana was for children, for kids and young adults. As was like Are You Afraid of the Dark and Goosebumps. One of my favorite Tales from the Crypt though shorts is from the first season, and I watch it every Christmas, and it's the it was all quiet in the house, I think is what it's called, but it's the one about the killer Santa Claus.
Nice.
It's got Megan Trainor, who's the mom from Goonies.
Right.
She's like a lady, and essentially it starts off with like she like murders her husband in her house, so she's not a good person.
Right.
And like this escaped maniac starts like trying to break into her house and kill her. Played by I can't remember the actor's name, but he played Dr. Giggles. Larry what?
Larry
something like that. But he was also he was in Darkman.
Larry Drake,
yeah. He plays the Santa Claus, the killer Santa Claus.
Oh, that's sweet. That's right.
It's on the first season. Also, it's good. Tales from the Crypt has a better like intro, opening, and music. Bam, 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 bam.
I'm gonna start like get traumatized all over again.
Another super chat for Oscar Romo. Love Oscar Romo. Happy birthday, Danny.
Thank you, Oscar.
Shots on me at next event.
Woo!
Tim, speaking of shots, would you rather take a shot or give someone a chair shot? Why is it Lucas?
Give someone a chair, like hit someone with a chair.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I mean, if it's like a stage chair, I think that would be a lot funner than buying someone a shot. I think it'd be fun to hit someone with a chair. I'm gonna go with that.
Go then.
Especially after watching the Stadium Stampede this weekend. If anyone watched AEW, that was amazing.
That's what I should have brought up too. I forgot to talk about. I thought you're a wrestling guy too.
So I was a wrestling guy in like middle school, in like the Attitude Era and stuff, the whole area, you know. Then I kind of fell out of it, and then like I still like would follow things. I knew who like the major players were and stuff. But then this last year, AEW brought me back in, man.
Yeah,
like fully committed to AEW. I did join the WWE network as well, and I've been watching like the pay-per-views since WrestleMania. But I'm definitely more interested in AEW. I don't think WWE's doing great work right now.
I gotta get back into AEW. I haven't got a chance to really get into AEW. I've seen a few things I've liked it. I'm same as you. I went Attitude Era, but I fell off. But I did kind of keep an eye on things. But I've heard so many great things about AEW.
I mean, they're just doing I just think the work they're doing is just great. I mean, they have some really great wrestlers, and they're doing some really great character work. I mean, they got freaking Jake the Snake, and Jake the Snake is still incredible.
I can't believe that he's still there. But that's awesome, man.
Arn Anderson, is there. They got Taz. So they're bringing in these like legacy people, but then they also have just a really great lineup, and they've pretty much been executing at a high level with like everyone. Like they've literally there's been things I didn't like, and they fixed it, which is great.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
This is just because it's super chat fighting now. Oscar, I hope you get stuck on Team Ghai.
Not a bad team to be on.
Exactly. Franco actually says AEW is great. Just wish they did more with their women's division.
Yeah, I mean the women's division, I think they've done a lot better. That was my first like major complaint early on. I think they've done a lot more work since. I mean they had a big blow right now with Britt Baker being out, because Britt Baker was like one of the best things they had going right now.
Right.
And so she's out right now with an injury, and but I mean it's definitely has room for improvement, but it has improved. It has shown signs of improving, so I'm positive that it will keep going that way.
Nice. Yeah. How much do you want to play Chris Jericho in a match?
How much do I want to play Chris Jericho in a match?
Yeah.
Listen, I think it would be really fun to play Chris Jericho, but I also want to play someone that will be a challenge to me, and I don't think he would be a challenge to me.
Nice.
Wow. There you go. Clip that out. Nerd Chronic Watch the show allows you to clip that out.
He knows some stuff, though. I mean, he was on, like I said, he was on the Last Drive-In's premiere this season, and he talked, he was talking horror movies, and he did a podcast with Joe Bob that I listened to as well. And so he knows stuff. I mean, he's very big into that genre, though. I just, that guy's got a lot of other things on his plate,
Absolutely. Lucas, why would you hope for something so horrible? I love the super chat fight. The super chat fights in there. I love it. That's okay. Keep going. Y'all could use more mics and things like that. So we love it. Thanks. That'll end this or that. So we will now move into Danielle.
That's right, everyone. So thank you for participating and this and that. Tim, that was a lot of fun. We're going to bring Kelsey out on here really quickly. Right over the Oz. Hello, girl. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you guys?
We're having a good time.
Awesome.
Kelsey's been hanging out in the background, moderating everything in the chat. You all know what this means. You see Kelsey's pretty face on that screen. Go ahead and send in your questions. If you have any questions for Tim, Franco, or any of us on the crew, you are more than welcome to go ahead and send those in. And while we wait for those questions, we're just going to plug up a little bit of stuff that we got going on the channel. So, Paul, you want to let us know what we're doing next week?
Sure. I got the next 2 weeks covered for Chill. At this point, we try to always map things out a couple weeks in advance. Next week, we got what was the hottest non-celebrity free agent signing of the time there for Miss Sabrina Ramirez will be coming on to Chill. And then following week after that, we got her podcast mate, RB3. Woo! So that's be some fun times there. So looking forward to that.
We're gonna have a good old time hanging out with both of them. So I'm excited to talk to Sabrina girl stuff about movies, and then just want to hear RB3 laugh.
If I can get RB3 to laugh like more than once, I'm gonna have a great.
Yes, that's all that we want.
That's the goal.
Kelsey, you want to let us know what we have coming up with Schmobates this week?
With Schmobates, we had that earlier today. So if you haven't checked that out, please go check that out. It's amazing. I don't know if we're having another match this Wednesday or not. Alex, if you're in the chat, please keep us posted on that. We are? Okay. And then, of course, Sundays we have live.
It's going to be...
Go ahead.
Perfect.
Okay.
Awesome. Good stuff.
That is true. Sad as it is, that's true.
Alrighty. Well, I see a few questions in there, so I'm going to let you all lead this now.
Okay. Perfect. Let's see. Question. What are your top 5 favorite movies of all time, ranked as best as you can? That's from Drunks 3PO.
Favorite horror movies? Okay, so Halloween. Halloween would be number 1. Oh, hard.
It is.
I would probably put let's do the first Conjuring.
Ooh,
that doesn't necessarily need to be number 2. Halloween's definitely number 1. The rest of these order doesn't necessarily follow where it's at. Just what's coming to my mind. I would probably put maybe Poltergeist in there, the first Poltergeist.
Okay.
Let's go with probably The Thing.
It's a great movie.
In there. Let's go. I think of like other ghost stories. Here's one I think is actually probably would fall in there. I really like this movie called Session 9 that came out in like the early 2000s. It's like about these asbestos cleaning crew that go clean out a mental hospital, and a bunch of stuff happens. That movie's pretty good. I think it's genuinely pretty scary. And let's go with I got one, Fright Night. I really love Fright Night. The 85 Fright Night. The remake is really great too, but I like the original more because it's what I watched growing up.
Did you ever or do you remember the movie Ghost Ship?
Yeah.
There was I always remember the one scene with like that wire that cuts through everyone on the dance floor. That's the one scene that I remember the most about that movie. And the little girl also. Didn't she survive that part?
Mm-hmm.
I believe so, yeah.
Yes, she did.
Yep.
Spoilers, sorry.
Spoilers.
Spoilers for like the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Spoilers for Ghost Ship if anyone was concerned.
Right.
You know what a great horror movie is? Has anyone ever seen Sleepaway Camp? That's a sleeper pick.
Sleepaway Camp. Yes.
Heard of it. I've never seen it.
So good. So good.
Don't look if you ever want to watch it. Just don't read anything about it.
Okay.
You don't want to ruin what happens.
That's true.
Oh, I do know. I know what you're talking. I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes, yeah. Yes. I like to watch all of those weird like top 10 whatever in whatever shit, like the whole Watch Mojo type of stuff.
Yeah.
So there's like a top 10 like twists in horror movies, and I feel like that's always the number one. Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about now. You
know what the number 1 jump scare is in a scary movie?
What is it?
It's in The Exorcist 3. If you've seen it,
I have not.
There's a part where
it's been a long time.
This creepy like nurse comes out of nowhere with like these like scissors.
Yes.
It's like it's widely considered the greatest jump scare of all time. So I'm sure you've seen GIFs of it and stuff.
Yes, definitely have. Yes, I know exactly.
I just watched that movie this last weekend, and it's still a super, super like effective jump scare. Even though I know it's coming, I'm just like, it gets you.
There's that one scene in The Exorcist where it does just that small cut scene where it like just shows like the devil's face, like
Pazuzu.
Yes. And so ever since then, I couldn't even finish the movie. I had to stop it. I still have never watched The Exorcist.
This is a very scary movie.
Yeah.
still scares me. Like possession stuff always scares. Is one and cult stuff always gets me. Actually, top 5, I'd probably throw Midsummer in my top 5.
I love Midsummer.
I love Midsummer.
Me
it was
too.
Probably I won't say it was my favorite movie last year. It was because I actually like Booksmart more because I think I just enjoy that tone a little more, like just comedy and I think it's something I'll watch more. But Midsummer was incredible. Like I think that movie is super great, and I think it's super smart with how it takes where it takes you in the story, essentially, to where you're along for the journey, and you're just kind of like by the end of the movie, you're like, yeah, this is how it has to go. This is the way this is the world they live in, and I'm okay with this. That's how I came out of it. I think it's horrifying, but you go along that journey, and you're just kind of like, yeah. I mean, this is the logical ending for this story.
I loved it.
So
what a great movie! I want to watch it.
It's great. It's so good. I love it.
One more I want to throw on there for you. What about It Follows? What do you think of that one?
I liked it. It was fine. I don't love it as much as everyone else does, but I think it's a cool. I think it's a really interesting concept, and like the way it like treats like possession or like an entity.
Yes,
it's a cool twist on it, but I didn't enjoy. I like it. It's a good movie. I just didn't love it as much as everyone else.
I love the creepy, like the tall guy into the room. That was my favorite. That was cool. Anyway, Kelsey, back to you.
All right. Next question from Malcolm. What musical do you think is very underappreciated?
I mean, the obvious answer is Cats, right?
I'll tell you what. I'll go here's a tank rant. I saw Cats. Cats was one of the last movies I saw in theaters before the pandemic because the theater that we have here in town that I told you about already, the independent theater, they did a Cats movie party screening of Cats, which was essentially just a screening of the movie that was like cat themed. So there was like a costume contest. There was like props that we had that we would do during the movie. There was like poppers, like when Griselda goes up into the whatever it is. Anyways, I digress. That was one of the best theater experiences I have ever had in my entire life, and I would 100% do it again. And I think like the guy who runs the programming at the Loft, I think what he was like, what he wishes would happen is he would love for the Cats movie to catch on as like a Rocky Horror style, like midnight movie cult thing, because in that setting, that was like super fun. Like it was a packed theater, 300 people watching Cats. There was no way in like the actual theatrical release, any theater was filled to that much. But because of like this special event, there was 300 people there, and it was a mix of people who genuinely were excited to watch the movie because they're just big cat people. Like my friend Aaliyah from Aaliyah Moore from she's a big into the Cats musical, it's like her favorite musical. So I went with them and her husband, and they were genuinely excited. She was genuinely excited to see the movie. But then there's this mix of people who were like, this movie is going to be a trash fire, and I'm here for it. And that was also awesome.
That was awesome.
I digress. I think Newsies is kind of underrated. The actual like Newsies like musical. It kind of like got buried for a long time, and then they were like, hey, let's get Alan Menken back and let's do a Broadway musical. And the Broadway musical took off. And it's like, it's amazing. I've seen it. It's great. But I also really love the movie. The movie was close to my heart growing up, and even though Christian Bale can't sing at all, I still enjoy it. And, I think that movie's great. So that would probably be my answer. I do love musicals, though. I'm a big musical fan. I listen to a lot of musicals.
Yeah, very cool.
All right. This question cracks me up a little bit. It's actually for Danielle. 3 episodes of Tales from the Crypt or eat 2 grilled cheese sandwiches with mayonnaise. Happy birthday, Danielle. Sorry. Just really
oh, Lord.
I still haven't made my grilled cheese with mayonnaise. I need to try it, but I haven't done it yet.
My kids like it.
Yet.
I've heard from several people.
Yes, I have heard same also. And anytime that Lucas and Alex are on an agreement with something, then I just kind of feel like it validates it a little bit more. But I think it's just gotten to the point where I'm just never going to try it.
That's going to be your fresh off thing? That's what
yes, that's exactly what it's turning into. So I will watch 3 episodes of Tales from the Crypt. Please and thank you.
All right. And this is more of an update from Chris Adams. Considering a stuff along if Tim wants in, we'll reach out to you later.
Look at us.
I'm all
doing
in.
it.
Watch that.
We'll do it.
All right.
All in for
And
that.
then, I guess, question. Midsummer over Hereditary?
Midsummer. I like Hereditary a lot too. I think it's a great movie, but I liked Midsummer more. I thought it was just, I don't know. I thought it was just smarter and just, I don't know.
Have you seen the My Plans 2020 meme with Hereditary?
Yeah, I've seen a couple versions of them, but they are all pretty much the same.
Yeah.
That was like a big shocking moment for sure. I mean, when that happened in the movie, I'm just like, whoa.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that. I expected that person to be around a little longer.
Yes. Exactly.
But
that was tough.
that movie's great. I mean, Hereditary, like Ari Aster, Robert Eggers, and then these two guys, Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson, are like my favorite people working in the space right now. Like they're doing incredible work, and I get excited for everything that they do. So I'm excited for Eggers and Ari Aster's third film, and Benson and Moorhead have a film that was released, but it was released in at all the festivals, but it hasn't been released widely, obviously, right now. So they're really great.
I don't know. What film did they do? I didn't know the movie.
They did this movie. So the big movie they did, it's on Netflix. It's called The Endless.
Oh, okay.
Which is a really cool, like sci-fi horror, alternate dimension realities monster movie.
Right.
That's great. And then before that, they did like a really small, low budget quasi prequel to that. Called Resolution, and that's streaming on Amazon, and that's also very good. Have you seen The Endless?
I did see that. Yeah, I did not see.
You know, like the guys that are in the trailer park, the trailer.
Yeah. Right.
Resolution is essentially their story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I'll take
it. So it's in the same world, and it's like their story.
Right.
But they did a third movie called Synchronic that has to do with like a weird, like drug that's on the streets, and it's these two ambulance drivers, Anthony Mackie, and I forgot who else is in it.
Okay.
But it's got
heard of that movie.
Good buzz, but yeah, they're great. If you haven't seen The Endless, check out The Endless on Netflix and Resolution on Amazon. I recommend watching Resolution first.
I did
it the reverse, but yeah.
All right, and we have a super chat that makes me blush a little bit. Kelsey, how amazing looks like. Thanks, Oscar.
Kelsey does look great. I love your new hair. I love how blonde you are. All of that good stuff.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're so slick. I love it.
All right, next question. Favorite Daniel Craig Bond?
Okay, it's Casino Royale.
Yeah.
All right, and then next question. Thoughts on Cabin in the Woods? I loved it myself.
Cabin in the Woods is great. I mean, it's super fun. It's not overly scary, really, unless you're like really sensitive to horror movies. But it's more just like tongue in cheek and just super fun and kind of like a homage to the genre overall. And you get lots of really great like monsters and creatures in the movie, you know, because the film works. And
epic looking merman.
It's got a really great finale. I feel like the finale is amazing. You got a great performance by Richard Jenkins and Bradley Whitford.
Yeah.
Movie. You know, you'll never see mermaids the same. Nope. And yeah, Cabin in the Woods is awesome. It's also good. You know, you got Chris Hemsworth.
Yep.
His moment in the movie is pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that movie. Drew Goddard, right? Directed it.
Yeah, Drew Goddard. Joss Whedon developed it, and Drew Goddard directed it. Right. Yeah. It's also got that the Joss Whedon guy that's in Dollhouse. I forget his name, but I like him too. Can't remember his name though. But
perfect. And then we have Drunk 3PO again. My top is 1 is Hereditary, 2 Conjuring, 1, 3 The Witch, 4 Raw, and I'll throw in Thrillers 5 Green Room.
Green Room is great.
I love Green Room.
I still haven't seen it. I know about it and all of that stuff, but I still haven't seen it.
I almost considered rewatching it last night on Netflix, but I was like, it was late, and I was like, I don't know if I have the emotional energy to deal with this movie. It's late.
Do I want to watch that movie anytime soon, or should I wait?
It's really good. It's really good. And it's like, Anton Yelkin's kind of like, swan song in a sense, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But he's great in it. Patrick Stewart's great in it.
He's so creepy in that movie. It's so
And
good.
one of the guys in it, Macon Blair, is directing. He's supposed to direct something that's a remake of something. I can't remember what it is. But he plays the main like skinhead guy that's like trying to get the situation kind of covered up. Not the one who's like, he's the one that I don't want to say like is good, but he's kind of like has some like maybe a conscience a little bit, in the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Awesome. And then we have a
I don't
question
remember what it
from
was.
our own Danny. What is your favorite horror film of 2020 so far?
My favorite horror film of 2020 is The Invisible Man.
Yeah.
Invisible Man. I haven't seen a whole lot in 2020. Obviously, there's not a lot that's come out, I don't think. But I also really enjoyed, I'll say this, I really, really enjoyed Underwater. I wasn't going to see that movie. And then I read about the movie because I'm like a guy that reads spoilers. I don't give a shit. So I read everything. And so I read about that movie and I was like, holy shit, I need to see this movie. And I need to see this movie now because have you seen it, Kelsey?
I have not. It was one of those I was like, I want to go see it really bad. And then that's kind of when the coronavirus stuff started coming up. So I'm like,
there is something in that movie that if people knew about that in the movie, more people would have seen the movie because it's what made me see the movie. And other people I know were that when they knew about this, they were like, "Oh, I would see that movie." Yeah. So
I need to watch
what
it.
the movie essentially is really about is pretty incredible. If you're a horror fan, it's something very, 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 very big in horror overall.
Underwater.
Underwater.
I'm
Okay. I am too. I'm gonna put this on a list.
So, definitely.
But The Invisible Man is incredible. I mean, Lee Winnell, he's another guy working right now. That's great. Upgrade was fantastic.
Yes, I'm
glad to see him taking on this. I think he's going to be doing more in that that whole area. I think now, right? Because didn't he sign some deal?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Neat.
Perfect. Another question. What is your favorite horror remake, not reboot?
It's probably The Thing is amazing, obviously. But I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do a tie between two movies. So I really, really love 1976 remake of The Invasion of the Body Snatchers with Donald Sutherland, Leonard Nimoy, Jeff Goldblum, all those people. That movie's genuinely frightening, and it's really, really good. And the 50s version is also very good, but I just think that version is just more. It's just way more scarier. And then I'm also going to say 1988's The Blob with Matt Dillon or Kevin Dillon. That movie's great, and that's also, I guess, you can kind of consider that movie a melt movie, I guess, in a sense. But it's that movie's great.
I go with that, absolutely.
All right, perfect. And we just have looks like a couple more questions, both Bond related and both from Forrest. What is your fave Bond song?
Which we already have. Yeah.
Yep.
So this one, I answered it earlier. It generally floats between three films. Currently, it is Nobody Does It Better from The Spy Who Loved Me by Carly Simon. The other ones would be Goldfinger by Shirley Bassey and the instrumental theme from On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
All right, perfect. Another question for us was answered earlier.
Who is your Bond?
Who's your Bond?
My Bond is Sir Roger Moore himself.
Can't go wrong with that.
I love Roger Moore.
All right, and I think there's just one more question. What is your favorite film featuring it?
Tank Girl.
Yes.
My sister was obsessed with Tank Girl growing up, so I have a love for it as well because we watched it so much. She was obsessed with that movie.
I have had a crush on Lori Petty for such a long time, and I love that movie so much. And Danny in the chat knows we've been ever since we both found out that we like Tank Girl. I think that might have been the first Wonder Twins thing that we discovered with each other. We've just never been able to shut up about Tank Girl because it's such a great movie.
You got Naomi Watts in an early role, right?
Yeah.
Ice-T, Malcolm McDowell.
Gary Busey is also in it, I believe.
Yeah. Yep.
Just there's two. I say this every time. There's two music breakdowns that are amazing. So let's do it. Let's just fall in love, man.
I think my runner-up would probably be Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Oh, great moments, great moments. That. Oh yeah,
Maybe, yeah.
I like that. I like that one a lot.
Perfect.
Not GoldenEye.
Nah,
I love GoldenEye, but that one.
Fast and Furious 6.
I only recently watched the Fast and the Furious movies. For the longest time, I was like, I don't want to watch any of those movies because I had this whole like thing where I was like super like really against like that whole street racing culture. I thought it was really stupid and dumb. So I was like, I don't want to watch that. That's stupid. Right. And then as time went on, I understood. I was like, oh yeah, well these movies are now just ridiculous action movies. And so eventually I watched them, and I really enjoy the whole franchise a lot. I like the first one's probably my favorite in terms of like overall, just because it's the first one. Yeah, that's a great franchise. I love it.
I recently did the same thing. I put it off for a long time.
Yeah.
Finally watch it. Now I'm fine with them too. I thought Hobbs and Shaw was fun even. I like that.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
All right. And it looks like that's the end of the questions. So thanks you, chat, for all your awesome questions tonight.
Yay! Thank you so much to everyone hanging out in the chat. This has been an awesome, fun Monday. Before we head out, Tim Franco, let us know where we can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at tfranco84. I'm also on Instagram. I believe it's azbatman84. I don't really post a lot on there. If you're beer drinkers, you can find me on Untapped at tfranco84 as well. Track my beer adventures there, see what I'm drinking, so I can see what you're drinking. I know I'm friends with PC on Untapped,
nice.
And a few other schmo down fan people I've friended on Untapped as well. So, you can find me on there. And then if you're a patron for the Schmodown, I will have an exhibition match with Mike Kalinowski and Brad Gilmore for Bond. So if you're a patron, you'll get that. If you're not a patron, why aren't you a patron? Yeah. And that's what I have going on.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, Modest. Kelsey, let us know where we can find you at it.
All right, perfect. You can find me at KelseyKens90 on Twitter and Instagram. I also run the Call to Action Podcast Instagram, so you can interact with me there. TeePublic, we've got merch, so check that out if you want to get some Schmodown merch or some Call to Action merch. They have sales off and on. And then I do have my own YouTube channel. Just search Kelsey Kirkland and click on my face. I'm trying to get 200 subscribers, so if you can help me with that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. What about you, PLD?
PLD at Paul_Denuzio on Twitter. You can find me on Class Action. I was on the Action Industries YouTube channel. Thank you, Ben and Jerry, with my boy who is in the chat. I just saw him, Richard Eric Jarvie. Love you, boy. We actually are going to be doing, I believe we're going to be doing the Wizarding World of Harry Potter versus the Middle-earth saga this week. That's what we're going to go for.
That's a good one.
Yeah, to be fun. And I also did start my own YouTube channel recently, PLD Projects. I've been doing a walkthrough of the V saga from the 1980s. And I've been promising it for a while. I'm waiting for a couple of thumbnails, but I'm going to be starting the Harris Stance, the walkthrough of the Ed Harris filmography, because make me love him as much as I do, if I can. So
super excited.
I cannot wait to watch that for sure. And as always, y'all, you know where you can find me. You can find me on Twitter at DannyJoy, DANIEEJOY. You can also find me here every Monday hanging out with Paul up on the Call to Action Network, all of that good stuff. Thank you so much to everybody hanging out in the chat. Thank you to everyone who wished me a happy birthday. You really, really, truly helped make this day feel a lot special. Being stuck in quarantine for my birthday has been kind of hard. Luckily, I have my family here. Got to celebrate with them. Also got to celebrate with all of you all. So thank you all so much for coming and hanging out. Thank you all for being so supportive of the show and the channel. We'll see you next Monday. And for everyone at Call to Action, as always, we salute you.